Hey, family, tech man, how's your spirit? Talk to me. Tell me something good. From last night, with the show I did last night, dedicating to the lady that was going through it, and tonight I had to expound on that. Right, I had to expound on it for the simple fact that you just don't give that up one shot. You got to keep at it with that one. So tonight is why we must heal. And in doing so, we're going to touch on some things. How you doing? How's your spirit? Okay. Um. So yeah, I got 50 questions. The guide. Hold up. 50-question guide designed to shift your perspective from why do I have to do this hard work to why can I not afford to ignore this any longer. The unleashed debt. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. In it are every harsh word spoken to you, every time you dim your light to keep the peace, every loss you swallowed without grieving, and every version of yourself you abandoned to be loved. You carried it so long, you've forgotten it's even there. You think the back pain, the shortness of breath, and exhaustion are just how life feels. They are not. That backpack is your unhealed past, and it is currently charging interest on every area of your life, your health, your relationships, your creativity, and your bank account. Understanding why we need to heal isn't about punishing yourself for being broken. It's about realizing that you cannot afford to keep paying the monthly premium on a wound that no longer serves you. Healing is not a luxury, it is the only logical response to debt that is compounded daily. One, the cost of avoidance while staying in the same is more expensive. Answer, because emotional pain rewires your nerve system, affecting your physical body. Example, a broken bone heals in 6 weeks. Ignoring childhood criticism can manifest as chronic back tension, IBS, or autoimmune system 40 years later. Number two, why does unhealed trauma affect my bank account? Answer, because your financial decisions are often made from survival fear, not strategic logic. Example, you sabotage a promotion because you subconsciously believe don't deserve success costing you 20,000 a year. Number 3, why do I keep attracting the same toxic people? Answer, because unhealed patterns feel familiar and our brain mistakes familiar for safe. Example, you date a critical partner because it replicates the dynamic with your critical parent, hoping to finally win their approval. 4, why is my anxiety getting worse as I get older? Answer: because the coping mechanism that worked at 20, distraction, alcohol, overwork, stopped working at 40, and the backlog of unprocessed emotions erupts. 5. Why do I snap at my children over small things? Because your children's behavior triggers the vulnerable child inside of you that was never allowed to express frustration. Example: your child spills milk, you scream, not at the milk, but at the 5-year old who you was punishing for making mistakes. And the reason why I'm going here with you guys is, you know, a part of going through adversity and change is part of it's a healing process as well. And you have to understand that the reason why we do the things that we do is because we haven't healed unresolved traumas and things in our lives that were traumatic or problematic to us. So the whole thing is learning how to navigate. So I'm giving you different examples, and like I said, if it fits, hold on. If it doesn't, let it go. Number 6, why does healing feel selfish? Answer: because you were trained that your worth comes from serving others. In reality, a healed person serves better. Example: an exhausted nurse with no boundaries burns out in 5 years. A healed nurse with boundaries serves patients for 30 years. And that's the truth. 7, why can't just positive thing? Why can't I just positive think my way out? Answer: because toxic pos- positivity bypasses the nervous system. You can't logic your way out of a physical freeze response. And this is why, things happen. So I'm just giving you examples of different things. Number 8, why do I feel numb instead of sad? Answer: numbness is the brain circuit breaker. It shuts down to prevent overwhelm, but it also shuts down joy. Number 9, why is my sleep so restless? Answer: because nighttime is when your conscious mind rests, allowing you subconscious to try to process the day's resolve threats. 10, why do I procrastinate on important goals? Answer: because procrastination is fear based. Unhealed fear is failure, or success keeps you in a safe zone of inaction. Number Section 2, number 11, the mechanics of the womb, how it actually works. Why does a small childhood event affect me so deeply? Answer: because to a child's brain, survival depends on attachment. A parent's cold look is interpreted as I might die alone. Example: being left at a daycare for 10 minutes that felt like hours created a lifetime of abandonment anxiety. So, like, it's different things that people go through. And like I said, if it applies to you, let it apply. And if it doesn't, let it fly. 12, why do I over explain myself? Answer: because you were not believed as a child. So you learn to build a legal case for your existence. I found myself doing that a lot as a child and as an adult. So I learned. 13, why do I struggle to accept compliments? Answer: because your internal self image is a mirror of past criticism, not current realities. So, what it's saying is your current realities are not who you were. Your current realities are not who you were. 14. Why do I feel guilty when I set a boundary? Answer. Because boundaries were punishment in your past. Saying no equals being rejected in your neural pathway. 15. Why do I replay arguments in my head for days? Answer. Your brain is trying to solve a past threat that is no longer there, keeping your cortisols high. And I was giving an example to a sister that I was riding with yesterday, and I told her, like, when I was a kid, I watched The Exorcist, and I wouldn't go in the house by myself for years. I'll go in and I use the bathroom, I wipe myself, and I shoot back out the house. Don't even flush or nothing because I'm afraid, the noise is going to attract something or whatever. And I look at it now in my present day, and I was like, man, how could you even have thought, anything like that? So, it's about growth. 16. Why do my body hold fat in certain areas? Answer. While not a rule, many somatic therapists note that the abdomen holds unexpressed anger and the shoulders hold unexpressed burden. So you have to let it go and it'll go. 17. Why do I get sick after vacation or a major success? Answer. Because your body finally relaxes, fight or flight mode, following a suppressed immune burden to surface rather. And sometimes I make, different mistakes because I'm dyslexic, but you get the picture. 18. Why do I choose partners who need fixing? Answer. Because fixing others is a proxy for trying to fix your own past, unresolved self. 19. Why do I fear being fully seen? Answer. Because being seen is in the past led to being judged, shamed, or criticized. 20. Why do I overeat or undereat? Answer. Because food is often a stand-in for emotional nourishment you never received. Section 3. Future self, perspective, why it's urgent. 21. Why should I heal for my future self, not my past self? Answer. Because your past self is gone. Your future self is the one who will live in the body you're building today. Example, heal your anger now so your 7-year-old heart doesn't give out. 22. Why is this urgent if it feels fine? If I feel fine? Answer. Fine is often the most expensive emotional state. It is the denial that delays the breaking point. 23. Why do we wait for a crisis to heal? Answer. Because the brain prioritizes immediate survival over long-term thriving. A divorce, a job loss, or health scare force the issue. 24. Why will my children suffer if I don't heal? Answer. Because trauma is transmitted epigenetically and behaviorally. They will inherit your coping mechanisms, not your words. Example, you don't hit your child, but your chronic anxiety teaches them that the world is terrifying. 25. Why does healing increase my lifespan? Answer. Constant stress shrinks your telomeres, the caps on your DNA. Healing lowers cortisol, preserving cellular health. So you got to heal so you can heal. 26. Why can't I just wait until I retire to heal? Answer. Because retirement amplifies what's already there. An unhealed person with nothing to distract them often spirals into depression. 27. Why will my creativity return with healing? Answer: because creativity flows through an open nerve system. A defended, armored body has no room for inspiration. 28. Why do I need to heal to have deep friendship? Answer: because vulnerability is the currency of intimacy. Unhealed people trade in small talk and performance. 29. Why does healing make me better at my job? Answer: because emotional regulation increases focus, decision making, and conflict resolution skills. 30. Why is it important to heal before my parents die? Answer: so I can grieve them as they are, not as they idolized figures you were still waiting to become. The identity shift. Who are you without the pain? 31. Why am I scared of losing my sad identity? Answer: because your wound became your story. Without it, you don't know who you are. Example: the survival of a struggler becomes a comfortable label. 32. Why does healing bring up more pain initially? Because you have to open the infected wound to clean it. The pain is the infection leaving. And like I tell you, with TACC, my program, 5 principles, 3 articles, 1 healer, helping everyone accept, achieve, and appreciate love, right? When you go through the wall of adversity, now you're on the road of change. And I always tell you, 3 articles: past, present, future, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. And the first one is knowledge. That's your past. That's going to hurt the most because you, like it says, you got to open the wound and get the infection out to clean it. You got to let all that stuff that you've been holding for so long, you got to let it out and keep it pushing. 33. Why do I feel more lost after starting therapy? Answer: because you are shedding an old map before you have drawn a new one. That disorientation is progress. 34. Why do I need to grieve things that weren't that bad? Answer: because you are grieving the loss of what could have been, the childhood, the love, the safety you deserved. 35. Why do I keep returning to the same therapist couch? Answer: possibility to seek a perfect parent they represent rather than integrating the healing yourself. 36. Why is forgiveness not the first step? Because forced forgiveness becomes grief. Before grief is spiritual bypass. You must feel the anger first to truly release it. And that's the God honest truth. 37. Why do I feel angry at my healed friends? Answer: because their freedom highlights your self imposed cage. That anger is a compass pointing to your own unmet needs. You gotta let it go. You gotta heal. You gotta find peace. That's why I am the way I am, because I found peace. I had to go through the pain first to be able to release it. You have to know what pain is first in order for you to release it. So when you go through it, just know that's the process. Like I said, your choices shape your adversities. Your adversities are your lessons to get you to your blessings. It's up to you. 38. Why does healing require saying no so much? Answer: because you have created space for your yes. Every no to a drain is a yes to your well. 39. Why is rest a healing act, not laziness? Answer: because rest is where the nerve system re regulates. You cannot heal in overdrive. 40. Why do I need to reparent my inner child? Answer: because that child is still running the show. You have to become the loving adult they never had. The practical reality, action and integration. 41. Why is talk therapy sometimes not enough? Because trauma is stored in the body. Somatic work, EMDR, or breath work are often needed to release it physically. 42. Why do I need to feel the emotion in my body? Answer, because thoughts are just stories. Sensations are the raw data. Healing requires completing the psychological stress cycle. No, the physiological stress cycle. My bad. 43. Why do I need a community to heal? Answer, because wounds were formed in relationships. They must be healed in relationships. Isolation reinforces the wound. 44. Why do triggers actually help me? Answer, because a trigger is a GPS alert. It shows you exactly where the unhealed landmine is buried. 45. Why do I need a journal, not just think? Answer, because writing forces linear, conscious thoughts. Thinking is circular, writing reveals patterns. 46. Why do I need to be patient with my healing? Answer, because nervous system has a biological speed limit. You cannot rush a tree to grow. 47. Why do I need to celebrate small wins? Answer, because the brain learns through reward. Celebrating a boundary reinforces a new neural pathway. Why do I relapse into old patterns? Answer, because healing isn't linear. A relapse is not a failure. It's a data point showing you what still needs attention, what you need to still work on. 49. Why do I need to integrate, not just process? Answer, processing is understanding the story. Integrations, Integration is embodying the new story in your daily actions and habits. And 50. Why is the end goal not happiness, but holiness? Answer, because happiness is a fleeting emotion. Holiness means you cannot hold joy. You can hold up. Holiness means you can hold joy and sorrow, anger and peace without falling apart. And the conclusion is the only question that matters. So after all 50 questions, we arrive at the only one that truly counts. If not now, when? You may seem you have seen the evidence. Unhealed pain, compounded interest, it steals your sleep, your relationship, your money, and your joy. It makes you a ghost in your own life, watching from sidelines while your trauma drives the car. But here's the profound truth. Understanding why we need to heal is the moment we stop being a victim of our history and become an author of our future. You don't heal to become perfect. You heal to become present. You heal so that when your child laughs, you laugh with them instead of worrying. You heal so that when opportunity knocks, you open the door instead of hiding. You heal so that your last day you can say, I lived rather than I survived. The past is the closed loop. The future is an open field. The only bridge between them is the courage to feel, release, rebuild. The cost of staying wounded is everything. The cost of healing is merely the pain you are already carrying. Only now you're finally putting the backpack down. Start today. Your future self is begging you. And this is what it's about. It's about finding a way for you to heal, learning your path, doing the things you need to do in order for you to be able to live your days with peace, and happiness. Every day is not going to be peaceful. Every day is not going to be happy. Every day is not going to be joyful. But what you have to understand is that it's a beautiful thing, man, when you can wake up and know that there's a God. Because once you know that there's a God, you know that everything going to be all right. Because he take care of everything he make. And like I tell people, if you ain't get shit out, spit out, or swallowed, you're one of 1 in 5 billion sperm cells that made it. So you have a purpose. Find your purpose. Start by healing. And in the journey of healing, and some way or another, you're going to find your purpose. And when you find your purpose, embrace your journey. And when you embrace your journey, you'll never be as you're working, because you're going to do the things that you love to do. So it's not a job. So this is why we need to heal. This is why it's so important for us to heal. And until we get to that place in our life, we're going to go through things, but just know that no matter what, God got you. Wherever you're at in life, he put you there because he's driving the car and he makes no mistakes. But you must take the responsibility that you may have done something to get you there. And like I said, embrace that journey. Everybody has adversities. Your adversities are different from mine, but your adversities shape and mold the life that God has for you, as well as the one that God has for me when we pay attention. And if you don't listen to that conscience, you're going to bump your head. Like I said, sometimes something tell you turn right and you turn left and you have a headache and say, I wish I would have. Listen, that's your conscience. It's God letting you know, do something different. Go left, not right. But the thing is, man, we must heal. And it's only through our adversities change takes place. And if nobody told you today they love you, I'm telling you. And get your spirit right. Your spirit is your connection with God. When you have the right connection with God, everything works out. And this is my other logo right here. My other logo. So you guys have a blessed night, and I hope y'all enjoyed it. And TACC Man out. Peace.